Ryan, let's start on this one. A24,
Yeah,
A24, whom we both know and love.
usually.
Usually, so I'm still writing my review for this. It's rough. It's in rough form right now. But one of the
Sure.
things that I note in there is that A24 can they either make really good movies. There are movies that are objectively good that you don't like, or movies that are objectively bad that you do like. There's two kinds of movies. They're not A24. There's two types of movies, generally speaking. Objectively good movies that you can admit are objectively good that you don't care for, and then there are objectively bad movies that you can magically wind up with liking. And then
Right.
there's those ones that are just exactly you think you're going to like it and you do, and you think you're not going to like it and you don't, and it's bad and you don't. A24 is exactly those two films. They're either really good or they're not objectively good. Most of them tend to be good or have been uh,
Yeah,
in the
yeah.
generally speaking.
Yeah. Well, you can usually identify why it exists. Certainly,
Yes, you can.
you can say, okay, this is that movie,
This is that
or
movie.
yeah.
One of the ones I cite in my review as well is last year's 3 hour Beau is Afraid.
Mm, yeah.
Which I don't know that it's objectively good, but I do recall saying that it is one of Joaquin Phoenix's finest performances in a movie that I absolutely think is terrible.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I hated that movie, but
I
but with that said, some of the production values and some of the ideas and things in it were legitimately pretty cool. But the movie
and he
itself is
puts in a
just
great performance
sure.
in a terrible film.
Yeah.
It's almost a Nick Cage situation.
Yes.
That
Only,
said,
only
which
I would say Nick Cage knows what he is.
that is true. He's an Oscar winner. You're welcome. Uh,
He is.
but
Absolutely.
so that takes us to last night's film opening this week. Let's discuss which kind of film this is. This film is called Janet Planet, which sounds weird, but it turns out that's actually this woman's name, or at
Yeah.
least the name she goes by, and
Yeah.
operates as an acupuncturist under. And
Yeah.
acupuncture has almost nothing to do with this film, amazingly enough, but
No.
she does. She is a licensed acupuncturist. Uh, from writer director Annie Baker, starring Zoe Ziegler as the little girl, Lacey Planet, daughter of Janet Planet, played by Julianne Nicholson. That actress that when you look it up, go, oh my God, she was in that. She was in that. She was in that. She's in a lot of stuff. She was most recently, well, not most recently, that's probably a stretch. She was recently in a film starring, ironically, the aforementioned Nicolas Cage. She played his wife in Dream Scenario, also an A24 film, uh, which it's funny. Um, so, which actually was a movie I enjoyed quite a bit. What kind of movie is Janet Planet for you, Ryan?
Um,
Is it an objectively good movie?
well, geez, I don't even. You know, going into the film, I, I had at least two conversations that was essentially, have you heard anything about this film? Do you know anything about this film? And my response was, well, I know it's A24, and that's about it. Um,
Right?
and so the follow up was, well, do you think that's a good thing or a bad thing? Um, and I thought, well, A24 is usually really good about you know setting the stage for its films.
Right.
Even if you're not going to like it, you tend to at least have some sort of sense of what it is or uh, something. They're very good at their advertising campaigns,
Yes.
and the way they promote films. And so it was kind of curious because it's like, well, I really don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing because they don't have a problem with sending things straight to streaming services. They've done that numerous of times. Not that that necessarily gauges how good a film is.
Right.
But it is odd that there's absolutely like nothing out there about the film. And having watched the film, unfortunately, I think I know why.
Yeah, I
I,
don't know how you sell this.
well, I found, well, it's, you know, you hate to well, there's a reason why some people find indie films to be insufferable. Um, and while most indie films don't actually qualify as insufferable in the ways that they tend to think they do, I can't help but think that this movie might. Um, I guess it's well shot and the acting's good. Um, there are some bizarre things that the script does. It sometimes feels like it doesn't want to show you what's actually important.
Right?
It makes you kind of, well, you not that you don't know what has happened to a certain extent, but you don't get to see it, and that gets to be a little frustrating, um, because those moments actually would really matter to this film. Um, I I mean, it felt incredibly slow, fairly generic. We have a mother daughter, relationship that is a little unusual. Mom seems to let the daughter get away with just about anything, and then complains about how it's becoming a habit for her, and she needs to
But
break that habit.
let's be clear. This is this single mom
Yeah. Well, yes.
with an unusual daughter. And yes, she has let her get away with a lot, but
I,
the kid, it's not a bad kid.
well, she's not bad, but there's something. There are moments she just
She's
there,
odd.
there are, and the thing that about that is, yes, you can have odd kids, but typically odd kids. I mean, in this case, I think the kid's odd slightly because of the way the kid has been raised,
Yes.
and so that you can't really say, well, it's just a weird kid. I
Right.
think
Well,
any
let's be clear. Let's set the stage here. The film
right,
opens with Lacey at summer camp,
threatening to
sneaking out
commit
in the middle of the
suicide.
night to
Yes,
call her mom and say, "I'm going to kill myself if you don't come get me."
yes,
And
and
she doesn't. She's not hysterical.
no,
She just
no,
says,
but
"I'm going to
it,
kill myself."
it's a very telling scene because mom shows up.
Yep.
So either mom really believes that she's possibly suicidal, or again, she's enabling the daughter to, I go to, I guess, go to extremes.
Yeah.
Um, and well, and I guess part of it is that she's kind of, she's, I mean, there's being weird and being different, but in this case, she lies about everything. Um,
Yes.
she is lying to everybody about why she wants to leave or why she's leaving. And so I find that so it's she's not endearing. Let me put it that way. I
No.
found
Well,
her to be
not in a traditional sense.
I found her to be incredibly frustrating because I don't I guess that she certain behaviors she gets away with that I don't think I could have gotten away with, or I wouldn't even, actually, more to the point, I wouldn't even thought to try to get
Right.
away with.
Yeah.
And I was a pretty ambitious, crazy, imaginative kid, but I guess I was far more grounded than she is. I don't know. I just, yeah, the entire film is filled with characters that I feel like I'm supposed to be sympathetic towards.
Well, except
But
one.
okay, true. Okay, but they make decisions that are so unhealthy in a lot of cases,
Yeah. Well,
or they don't. We would like to think mom is a very strong sort of character, but she sometimes does things that you go, that's kind of, how do I root for you when you did this?
Right.
And, you know,
And her mom is like this new age neo hippie type of personality.
but
There are other words I could use, but
well, I think, you know, to me, she kind of has a ambiguous, ever changing sort of philosophy of life on life,
yeah.
or like it's there's just something about her that I don't know if it's lacks responsibility. I don't know exactly how to put it into words, but she's an incredibly frustrating character who has
Yeah.
created a thoroughly frustrating daughter.
And let's talk about this for 1 second, because Janet Planet again is the mom, but the movie is
The daughter.
the daughter. But in retrospect, one can argue that the film actually is about the mother, because the mother shapes everything that the kid is.
Sure. I
And
can buy into that.
and I think the reason the mother is so, I don't want to say dislikable or unlikable, but she has no identity of her own, which I've thought about this. And so not she's the mother, so she mothers the child when the child needs mothered. She's never strict, but she imposes whatever the viewpoint of her day is. You know, we don't like antibiotics until we like
We might,
antibiotics.
well, because
But
the
that's still up to
invention,
you, dear. But
yeah.
you've beat it into the child's head that we don't like antibiotics.
And yet here I am offering to give you antibiotics.
Right.
And
And then
the whole scene surrounding the lead up to that scene too is just another example of like, you got to be kidding me. This is
yeah, well, and then here's the
anyway.
thing. If part at the end when the kid sleeps with the mom,
Yeah.
right? And her boyfriends find that weird. And yes, I used boyfriends plural. But when they had that last conversation where she's like, she goes, well, I'm not beautiful. She goes, but I've always believed that I can make any man love me if I just try.
Yeah.
Right. And she goes, well, the kid's like, well, have you ever not tried? And I don't think she makes men love her. I think that's a rationalization of the fact that she has no identity. So she kind of becomes whatever the man wants her to be in that moment, because she fears being alone, which is why the kid still is allowed to sleep with her
Yeah, I
and
guess.
whatnot. So this
Yeah.
movie is all about the mother's insecurities. And I shudder to think how young Lacey is going to grow up uh, with that as a role model.
You know, well, we you kind of see it.
Y-
You know, you see
Yeah.
the I mean, there's just you know, and if I guess if the purpose of this movie is to present an extremely problematic mother who uh, traditionally we would see this sort of character being a strong and defiant, you know, woman who didn't, you know, bend and conform to the men who are around her, and I think that's how she views herself, or at least the character views herself that way.
Right.
But I don't. But it's a movie that is about a woman who I don't know if weak is the right word, but undefined. Um, you know, would they call her a free spirit?
Well,
Um,
yeah. Yeah. Yes, in that neo hippie kind of way.
you know, but yeah, and she has strong opinions sometimes, and this again like the antibiotics that aren't so strong when they're not
Actively
convenient.
challenged.
Sure, yeah, or you know, I mean, there's just I guess it's like spending 2 hours with characters that just disappoint you. But at the same time, you were never really invested in them to begin with.
Yeah.
So it's almost like you know these you're hanging out with strangers that you kind of can't help but not want to be around.
Yeah, I mean that's weird because a lot of them are they're likable. It's not like you just walk into a room with them and you're just like, ugh. They're that friend that over time you just kind of tolerate
Yeah.
them being around because of X, Y, or Z, and it doesn't really matter what the X, Y, or Z is. It's just like the guy that bemoans he's always in the friend zone. Yeah, that gets old, dude. But you can still hang around us. But man, you're getting old. Or the girl that can't find a good guy. It's like we get it.
And always dates the guy who's clearly not good.
Correct.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, you've made poor choices. Which is that whole conversation. Hey everyone, welcome back to season 9 of the Visually Stunning Movie Podcast. If you like what you're seeing and hearing, please feel free to like us, share us, follow us wherever you're listening to us, actually. If you're on YouTube, click subscribe. That would be great. Go to the website at vsmoviepodcast.com, and that will give you links to all of our socials. It'll give you write-ups of stuff that's not audio, but you'll get pretty much everything there. So if you like what you're seeing and hearing, make sure you share it with everyone else. Now let's get back to the show.
Yeah, and that's I mean, so there are moments, but it's kind of funny who's the individuals who are having that conversation when you look at the choices that they both made with their lives. Yes. And you go, well, anyway, I really just could not wait for this movie to get over.
No, and at nearly 2 hours.
Yeah,
it is easily a half an hour too long.
At least, yeah. And I think, I think it's not without any sort of merit, and it's not without there's things for us to discuss and things that we're only able to half discuss because we don't want to spoil everything. But I mean, quite honestly, there was a moment, maybe a third of the way in, where I thought, how awesome would this movie be if it suddenly went Midsummer on us? And
right.
We have there's a performance, an art, what?
We'll call it an New Age arts festival kind of thing.
Anyway, and you're watching, you're thinking, this is actually really kind of terrifying.
Right. There was a time this movie could have turned left, and I actually Midsummer went through my head too.
I was like, this could suddenly be something that I was not expecting at all, and quite honestly, I was kind of disappointed that it didn't go gonzo at that point, because I guess again it was like I don't want to. I don't know. I don't want to hang out with people who create their own problems and then complain about it, I guess. But that's not exactly what they do either. I don't know. I guess I just see the kid, and it's like, I'm sorry, kid. You're gonna have to go through a lot of therapy.
Yeah, the kid is doomed.
I don't know how you're going to survive in the real world, and maybe the idea is that you never will have to because you always live with your mother.
Right.
Which doesn't seem like an unlikely scenario. It actually seems, very likely and somewhat unfortunate for the daughter, because the daughter will never be able to leave without destroying her mother's life, or feeling like she destroyed her mother's life. Whether
even though, it's not like the child is not intelligent or creative or talented in her own ways. And it's not that her mother doesn't want her to be independent. There's just this, the film again. So objectively, the film is well made. Again, it is well acted. It's got some pretty shots. Some of them go on way too long. But there's no reward in watching this movie, I guess, as a viewer. You just kind of get to the end, and then that look on Lacey's face is so, I want it to be dark. It's ambiguous, but I want it to be dark. And so I want to see that movie because that look takes you into full Hereditary almost.
Sure. There's a conversation, and it's towards the end as well, where she asks for something of her mother while they're in bed, and it is just like, okay, that right there is the setup for the
Yeah.
creepy horror movie that comes next.
Right.
And but that's not what this movie is. So I don't, and I can't help but wonder, maybe because we've seen so many A24 films that do take that route,
Yeah.
that when they don't, is so is part of the problem what we're expecting from an A24 film, or I don't know. It's not like they only make those movies. They make all sorts of movies.
Yeah, they
They
do.
do
Well,
what so.
yeah, but this movie just, again, my problem is there's no reward. The movie doesn't really progress. Everything is basically the same all the way through. There's no pivotal life lesson for the mom. There's no burst of independence for the child. There's no uh, relationship development beyond what we see over and over and over again in here. Um, it's 2 hours of the same thing. So I guess unless this movie is just about the futility of life, I don't know what the real purpose of it is for a general audience. And that makes me sad because again, the rest of it is like, again, I kind of enjoyed the performances. I kind of enjoyed some of the scenes. But overall, it's a movie that I don't know that I'm ever going to have to watch it again.
I Yeah, I would probably. No, I don't. I would rather not watch it again. I think really, and there are going to be I guess some films you can watch a second time and you can get a different perspective and kind of understand. But I just the film itself doesn't motivate me to want
Right.
to understand these characters or to want to uh, I
Yeah.
guess have a deeper understanding.
Yeah. Well, yeah, those films make you think, okay, I feel like I missed something. Let me go find it. This film, it's like, no, I feel like we saw everything.
And it just
And
didn't do whatever it.
yeah, exactly. So it's like, okay, I'm done. I don't need to watch it again. And that again, it kind of makes me sad. Um, so sadly, a rare. I think I told Ange last night when I came out. I said that's a rare A24 miss.
Yeah.
It's not Beau is Afraid bad.
No, but I think I mean, I think there are a lot of A24 films that I don't like, but typically I could say, okay, I don't like it, but that's because of my taste or what I want from a movie or whatever. There's quite a few that it's just like, okay, well, that's just that movie exists to push the envelope, and it's pushing the envelope in a way that I'm just really not that interested
Right.
in. Where this film didn't feel like it was pushing the envelope. It didn't feel like it was being anything that was different. It almost felt that it was so void of that. It wasn't trying to do anything. I don't know. It's just
Yeah.
it just felt like I don't know. Whatever makes A24 films exciting, and or a lot of indie films. It's not just A24. Neon or
Mhm.
some focus stuff or whatever. But um, whatever that crazy sort of freedom of being an indie director, this does not have. It's not inspiring. I guess
No,
it doesn't.
it's
It doesn't really. I mean, I, when I hate a movie, I want to really hate a movie, and when I love a movie, I really want to love a movie. And when I see a movie like this, where I feel like a nap would have just been as informative, you
yeah,
know,
right.
I don't know.
I
It's
don't.
disappointing, I guess. But
It,
I think but they haven't done anything to promote it, so maybe they know.
yeah. I mean, which, begs the question, why screen it for critics at all? But maybe that you're trying to just kind of, on the down low it and get some art house play. Because if this plays, it's going to be art house.
Oh yeah. It's getting a wide release, which is what's kind of strange.
I'm shocked.
Yeah, but I think it's counter programming or I don't know what. But,
right.
I don't know. Typically, I would be like, go check it out, see if it. But I don't even know that I can. I mean, I guess I would say, listen, I rarely don't, I don't ever usually say this, but maybe wait till it's streaming on HBO and HBO Max or Max and in 3 or 4 months and check it out there. But I mean, there's other films that feel that A24 does or have done that feel kind of in the same ballpark that are just so much better.
Yeah. I had two that I wrote the titles down. One of which I think actually is A24, and that was the Florida Project.
Yes.
In which a young girl's basically left to her own devices for a summer.
Yes, and that's
although the mothers are completely different.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if you want to watch this weird kid coming of age story, go watch The Way Way Back.
Yeah, that's it.
That's a great movie. Sam Rockwell, it's awesome. So yeah, that's good. So Janet Planet comes out this Friday, apparently in a wide release. Who knew? Yeah, I would wait for streaming on this set. As much as we want people into theaters, there's better things to theater.
Yeah, I just don't think that. I mean, we want people in theaters seeing movies that will make them want to go back to theater.
Yes, or make Hollywood make more movies for theaters.
Yes, and to be clear, it's not because this is a kind of a slow, quiet movie. It's because it's not a very good, slow, quiet little film.
Correct. There you go. But yeah, so Zoe Ziegler apparently in her first movie is the daughter Lacey. Julianne Nicholson is mom. Will Patton, Wasted. Eddie Moon Kearns.
You only see parts of him.
I know, right? It's crazy.
I mean, look, there are some interesting framing things they do cinematography wise. Some work better than others. So there is. It's not totally pedestrian. They are trying different things, particularly with the visuals. I don't know that all those visuals work. Anyway, but yeah.
Yeah. Sophie Okonedo and Elias Koteas is in this, who probably has the most complex character, but ... Yeah, so we'll leave it at that. We do have another movie that we're going to watch this week, and we will be talking about this week. We'll save that. That's a surprise. Next week, we've got two more big ones to watch. Despicable Me 4, if you're a Minion fan. But the big one next week is Maxine, the conclusion to the X/Pearl trilogy from Ty West and Mia Goth. So
and something that it is actually, it's one of the few films when I saw a trailer and went, oh, that's what they're doing. Okay, all right.
Oh, I didn't even watch the trailer. I didn't want to know. Like, no.
I don't remember. I think it showed us something, and I went, oh, that's what they're doing. Okay.
Well, I know the concept, but I didn't see the. I know the high level concept of Maxine. I don't know. I didn't watch the trailer at all, so I have no idea how they're framing it and putting it together. So we'll see how. I'm excited to see it. I'm gonna try to at least watch X again, since that has got Maxine in it.
Yeah.
Before then, if I watch Pearl again, then I'll watch Pearl again. But definitely looking forward to that. So those should be fun. And we got a couple of weeks after that. So summer movie season is here. Let's hope we get some more winners. Anything else you want to talk about?
Right now, I think that's about it.
All right, that's about it. So there you go. The Janet Planet in theaters Friday from A24. Don't forget to like us, follow us on social media. You know how all that works. Go to the website, vsmoviepodcast.com. All the links to all of our socials are there. Click them, subscribe. You know how it works. Go see a good movie in theaters. They are out there. We promise they do exist. So till next time, I'm Mark. That's Ryan. Bye, Ryan. And we'll talk to you all later.